Hello, this is Eastern Europe Review, a joint production of BELSAT and TVP World, featuring reports and analysis from Ukraine, Belarus and Russia. I'm Alexandra Shapalina, and these are the main stories. Dictator Lukashenka tries to convince the leaders of former Soviet republics that they don't need the West, and instead they should unite with him and Putin.
This plan should unite and consolidate us all. It should be aimed at ensuring that, let's say, albeit in isolation, just like the Soviet Union, we survive.
As Russia, Kyrgyzstan and Kazakhstan sign an agreement to share information about their citizens, Russian refugees struggle not to be deported from the Central Asian republics.
They informed me that it was impossible to deport or extradite me, but at the same time, I cannot leave Kazakhstan either.
Polish memorials continue to be targets of attacks and destruction across Russia. One of them, the memorial cross in the Russian village of Belastok, located in the Tomsk region, has been restored by local residents.
Who have lost their conscience, who have lost a lot of things in their lives. I don't know who they are taking revenge on. They are expressing their patriotism in this way, which is stupid.
During the meeting in Minsk with the ministers of foreign affairs from the Collective Security Treaty Organization countries, Lukashenko attempted to assert his worldview upon them. However, his efforts were met with skepticism as he struggled to appear convincing. It seems that only Lukashenko and Putin are in desperate need of uniting in opposition to the West.
Alexander Lukashenko has held a meeting with the foreign ministers of the Collective Security Treaty Organization countries, also known as the CSTO. In his address, he proposed that the former Soviet republics return to the isolation model of the Soviet Union.
This plan should unite and consolidate us all. It should be aimed at ensuring that, let's say, albeit in isolation, just like the Soviet Union, we survive.
The CSTO was established in 1992, officially to preserve the independence of its member countries, but in fact to preserve Russia's influence in the region. Today, the organization includes Belarus, Russia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Armenia. The meeting in Minsk with the ministers of these countries became the third public activity of Lukashenko this month within the integration associations of the former Soviet republics.
The possibility to act in the international arena is limited for Lukashenko as well as for Putin, so they act where they have such an opportunity.
In the meeting, only the Russian representative, Sergei Lavrov, supported Lukashenko's proposal for a plan to survive isolation. Belarus and Russia are already facing international isolation, but other CSTO members maintain political and economic relations with the West.
Yes, Lukashenko is projecting his situation, his desperate situation, the position of a rogue dictator, onto the other leaders, but their situation is much better.
According to Lukashenko, Europe has lost its sovereignty due to the actions of the Americans, who he claims have divided the continent. He mentioned the need to preserve their own sovereignty and called for the CSTO members to stick together in the face of a perceived large-scale confrontation.
I think they understand very well that this organization is aimed at serving the interests of Putin's Russia, serving the interest of Lukashenko, and, strictly speaking, nothing more. And the only thing that this organization can bring is opposition to the whole world, which is undesirable, because it's not only politics, but also economics.
The war in Ukraine wasn't on the agenda of the meeting at all. According to Lukashenko, the CSTO's priority issues are the border conflicts between Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan, as well as the frozen war between Armenia and Azerbaijan. However, it is worth noting that after Azerbaijan's aggression against Armenia last year, Nikol Pashinyan, the Prime Minister of Armenia, requested the STO's assistance in restoring Armenia's territorial integrity through a roadmap. Lukashenko strongly suggested that Pashinyan should resolve the issue with Azerbaijan and Russia on his own.
The events of last year, the reaction to what is happening in the South Caucasus, The less noticeable but present conflict between the members Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan show that the organization is absolutely ineffective. It is preserved only as a symbol, as if there was some kind of unity in the post-Soviet space.
Nevertheless, the organization does not appear to be on the verge of falling apart. While Armenia expressed concerns about its membership following last year's crisis, other member countries are not ready for a drastic rupture with the CSTO. However, they also do not show a desire to align themselves closely with Lukashenka and Putin's toxic agenda.
Journalist Evgenia Boltatarova, originally from Buryatia, has been denied an extension of her temporary stay in Kazakhstan. Now she faces deportation to Russia, where she is wanted for spreading false information about the Russian army, a criminal offense that carries the possibility of imprisonment. Boltatarova has been residing in Kazakhstan since March of last year and has been assisting Russian refugees who have fled from the war.
Several countries in the Central Asian region have recently signed an agreement on the exchange of data and other personal information. The leaders of Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Russia have reached an agreement to exchange personal data of their respective citizens who are present within the territories of any of these countries.
As a combatant state, Russia directs Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan to undertake various support functions, with a primary focus on controlling the movements and activities of their citizens, particularly Russians, but also Kazakhs and Kyrgyz, who are politically active individuals and who are within Russia's sphere of influence.
According to the document, the participating states will provide mutual assistance, including holding their citizens accountable for criminal or administrative offenses. This agreement is being signed at a time when there have been targeted detentions and deportations of anti-war activists from Russia who are residing in Central Asian countries. In the past month alone, security forces in Kyrgyzstan have detained at least 4 Russians.
Both Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan actively accepted everyone who came to us, and we supported these people. And now it turns out that Russia is strengthening this control.
Evgenia Boltatarova, a journalist and political scientist from the Russian region of Buryatia, has already gotten used to living in Kazakhstan and has no regrets about coming here. Boltatarova has already been detained twice in Kazakhstan, since the woman is wanted by Russia for allegedly spreading disinformation about the actions of the Russian military. If she were to return to Russia, she would face the possibility of imprisonment.
In Kazakhstan, there is no article in the penal code connected to fake news about the Russian army, and essentially there could not be such an article. I have been detained twice, but after a few discussions at the prosecutor's office, they informed me that it was impossible to deport or extradite me, but at the same time, I cannot leave Kazakhstan either.
The local authorities have denied the extension of the journalist's temporary residence permit in Kazakhstan. Boltatarova believes that this decision was made under the false claim that she did not officially cross the border of Kazakhstan, despite having stamps in her passport to prove otherwise. She plans to file a lawsuit against the Border Guard Service of Kazakhstan and hopes to avoid deportation, similar to the case of Federal Security Service Major Mikhail Zhilin, who fled from mobilization but was eventually deported back to Russia at the end of last year.
We're keeping score, 1-1. There's one exiled FSO officer, Mikhail Zhilin, and Denis Kozak, who is in the Almaty pretrial detention center. They didn't do anything wrong in Kazakhstan.
Evgenia Boltatarova is also going to apply for refugee status, but she is not sure whether her application will be successful.
Applying for this status at least guarantees that the person applying for the status will not be expelled or extradited at the time the application is being considered. Naturally, no one can guarantee that she will be granted refugee status. As practice shows, basically we have 99% rejections. This does not specifically apply to refugees from the Russian Federation.
Evgenia Boltatarova maintains regular communication with her family in Buryatia, as they frequently speak to each other on the phone. However, she is concerned that her family may be facing pressure or intimidation due to her situation. It is possible that her relatives are not telling her about such incidents in order to protect her from additional distress or worry.
In In the remote Siberian village of BELSAT, located in the Tomsk region of Russia, parishioners of the church and members of the Order of the Sisters of Mother Teresa have restored a memorial cross at their own expense. A year ago, this cross was part of the memorial complex dedicated to local residents, Polish immigrants who died during Stalinist repressions. In November of last year, following Polish Independence Day, the memorial site was desecrated by vandals.
In the small village of Białystok, which was founded in the Tomsk region by Polish settlers in 1889, a cross has been restored on the memorial dedicated to the victims of Stalinist terror. In 1938, nearly all of the adult men in the village, comprising around 70 individuals, fell victim to the infamous Polish operation of the People's Commissariat of Internal Affairs of the USSR. These men were arrested and executed based on fabricated charges of espionage. Today, their names are inscribed on commemorative plaques.
Today's situation shows that despite plaques being torn down and crosses being cut down, people still remember and will remember in the future about their relatives, loved ones, grandfathers, great-grandfathers, great-grandmothers and so on. We will not be able to quarrel with each other.
The same cross used to be a part of the memorial complex in this location. However, in November 2022, unidentified vandals tore down the nameplates and the cross itself was cut down. The funds for the reconstruction of the monument were collected by members of the Tomsk Catholic community.
Why are we doing this? Not to show these scoundrels that we have fixed what they did. No. When we look at this new cross, it shouldn't make us feel like some kind of victory. Wow, they cut it down, and we put it up. No. Instead, we simply pray, Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they are doing.
On November the 11th, during Poland's Independence Day celebrations, a monument dedicated to the repressed Polish people was desecrated in the center of Siberia, Tomsk. This incident occurred amidst a series of vandalism cases in the region during the fall season. The Polish memorial located at the cemetery in the village of Polozowa was destroyed. Additionally, a memorial sign was torn off from the building that once served as an orphanage. During World War II, the orphanage provided shelter for children of Polish special resettlers who had become orphaned during their exile in Siberia. Historians and ethnographers believe that these incidents are direct consequences of the policy pursued by Vladimir Putin's regime, which deliberately fosters animosity towards Western countries and has even included Poland among its main enemies.
It is clear that this was purposefully planned and carried out not by our common vandals. This is a retaliatory action carried out by people who have lost their memory, who have lost their conscience, who have lost a lot of things in their lives. I don't know who they are taking revenge on. They are expressing their patriotism in this way, which is stupid.
In fact, the desecration of Polish memorial sites in various regions of the country is believed to be a state-sanctioned activity. There was no mass public protest against the desecration of historical and memorial sites in the Tomsk region. Even in the small village of Białystok, residents had minimal reaction to the actions of the vandals, but rather a clear manifestation of the xenophobia that is sweeping across Russia.
Most of the people living here are those who have come here from other regions or other areas, so it means almost nothing to them. It just doesn't concern me and that's it. That's probably it. Or they just don't want to get involved. Are they afraid? I think so.
Anti-Polish rhetoric remains prevalent in the speeches of various representatives of the Russian state. 2 criminal cases were opened by the police under the charge of theft, according to the Russian Criminal Code, regarding the theft of memorial plaques from monuments in Tomsk and Białystok. However, no information has been reported regarding the outcomes of the investigations. Meanwhile, cemeteries in the Urals have seen incidents where monuments dedicated to deported Polish people were destroyed. Unknown individuals vandalized memorials dedicated to Polish exiles and forced migrants in 2 rural cemeteries. They removed nameplates, crosses, figures of Jesus Christ, and images of the Virgin Mary from these monuments. In the early spring, a memorial commemorating the Lithuanians and Poles who were exiled for their involvement in logging activities was demolished in the Perm region, which is located approximately 1,500 kilometers west of Tomsk.
That's all for today. Thank you for watching Eastern Europe Review. We will be back next week with the new stories. I'm Alexandra Shapalina. Keep watching TVP World and see you next time.